Welcome back, focused learners. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for today's explainer. Because, we're tackling something that plagues almost all of us. I'm talking about the great modern mystery of the vanishing paycheck. If you've ever felt like your income just, mysteriously evaporates into thin air by the end of the month, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're breaking down exactly why our money vanishes. And more importantly, we're going to look at a brilliantly simple behavioral trick to stop it. We're talking about a system that makes overspending literally almost impossible, relying entirely on structure rather than stress. So let's get right into it. Section 1. The disappearing paycheck. Picture this. It's a random Tuesday night. You're chilling on the couch. You casually open your banking app, and suddenly your stomach drops. Your balance is way lower than expected, which naturally leads to one panicked question. Where did my money go? You start scrolling through your transactions, but it's not like you bought a luxury watch or booked a spontaneous tropical vacation. Instead, you see a $12 lunch, a $7 coffee, and, a $25 Amazon purchase for some kitchen gadget you're probably never going to use. It's all completely normal stuff, yet your money has somehow completely vanished. Okay, let's dive into this because the data here is actually staggering. $3,400. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average household spends over $3,400 a year just on dining out alone. To put that into perspective, that's almost $10 a day, every single day. And the craziest part of the whole shebang, most people literally do not even realize they're doing it. Now, when people finally realize they're bleeding this much cash on small, everyday items, they almost always jump to a pretty toxic conclusion. They feed themselves this massive myth. They say, I just need more self-control. I just need to be more disciplined. Well, let me stop you right there. I can assure you that your overspending is absolutely not a failure of your willpower. It's really not. The issue isn't you, the issue is your infrastructure. Which brings us to Section 2, the one account problem. So the real culprit behind all this invisible overspending is actually how our bank accounts are fundamentally set up. Most of us use one main checking account for absolutely everything, right? Well, let's break down the fatal flaw in that. Imagine you check your balance and you see $2,000. Your brain instantly goes, nice, I've got $2,000 to play with. But what your brain conveniently ignores is the background math. It totally forgets that $1,200 is already invisibly committed to rent, $200 to utilities, $300 for groceries, and maybe $150 for transport. When you actually do the math, your true spending power is only $150. But because you saw that big $2,000 number at the top, you feel wealthy. And that, my friends, is exactly when things go horribly wrong. And hey, this isn't just a hunch. It is grounded heavily in behavioral economics. In fact, Nobel Prize-winning behavioral economist Richard Thaler hit the nail on the head when he said, people struggle to separate money mentally. Humans are just downright terrible at mental accounting. If all your cash sits in one giant pool, your brain naturally treats it like one giant pile of spending money. It simply cannot successfully compartmentalize that pile into rent, bills, and fun money on the fly. It just doesn't work. And when your brain thinks it has this massive pile of cash, it leads to a really dangerous phenomenon: frictionless spending. Basically, this is buying stuff with zero resistance or careful evaluation. And let's be honest, today's technology makes this terrifyingly easy. You tap your card, you tap your phone, you double-click the side button, scan your face, and boom, buy now is done. There is literally no resistance whatsoever. When spending becomes that effortless, our brains entirely stop evaluating our purchases. All right, Section 3, the two-account solution. So how on earth do we fix this frictionless spending? Well, we don't try to muscle through with raw willpower. Instead, we use environmental design. We change the actual environment your money lives in. Here is the core of the whole system. You need two distinct checking accounts. The first is the bills account. This account holds your fixed expenses. Think rent, mortgage, utilities, internet. And the golden rule here? Absolutely no debit card in your wallet for this account. It is untouchable. Then you have the second account, the spending account. This is your flexible, guilt-free money for groceries, eating out, shopping, grabbing a coffee. It has a crystal clear limit, and you can spend it without an ounce of guilt. Let's walk through a real-world example to see how this plays out. Imagine a typical $3,000 monthly paycheck. The exact moment that money arrives, it gets divided up. $1,700 goes straight into the untouchable bills account to cover all those fixed expenses. You funnel maybe $400 towards savings and $300 toward investing. After all that, you are left with a very specific slice of the pie for your flexible spending, exactly $600. Now this right here is where the absolute magic happens. $600.
When you open your banking app on a random Tuesday night, your spending account doesn't say $3,000. It doesn't say $2,000. It only shows this single, highly accurate number, $600. This dramatically, and I mean profoundly, changes how your brain approaches daily spending. You aren't guessing anymore. You know exactly what you actually have. Section 4, Why the System Works. So why does this structural design succeed so effortlessly when all those traditional, super complicated budgeting apps totally fail? It all comes down to the fact that your environment shapes your behavior. Think about the classic candy bowl metaphor. If a giant bowl of candy is sitting right on your desk, perfectly in your line of sight, you're going to eat the candy, right? But if that exact same bowl is hidden in a high cupboard all the way across the room, you'll eat way less of it. Same person, same candy, just a different environment. Well, money works the exact same way. By separating your accounts, you're essentially moving the money candy bowl totally out of reach. Now, you might be thinking, hey, can't I just mentally track all of this in one account? I mean, sure, in theory. But in practice, mental tracking requires exhausting math for every single purchase. And because mental math is super tiring, your brain naturally takes shortcuts, which ultimately leads right back to overspending. This two-account system totally replaces that exhaustion with pure simplicity. You just look at one accurate number, there are literally zero calculations required. If the spending account says you have $120, that is your unfiltered reality. But what truly fascinates me is this completely surprising benefit that comes along with it. Setting up this structure doesn't just stop overspending. It brings total financial control and massively reduces your stress. Because your bills are isolated and funded right out of the gate, you completely eliminate the sheer panic of surprise expenses. When rent is due, you don't panic. When an auto-pay insurance bill hits, it isn't a surprise attack. The money is already sitting there waiting patiently to do its job. It gives you this profound feeling of control that, honestly, most people rarely ever experience with their personal finances. Let's move to Section 5, How to Set It Up. Okay, we know the why, so now let's empower you with the how. There are 4 ridiculously simple steps to get this going. Step 1, open a second checking account. Most banks will literally let you do this on your phone in under 2 minutes. Step 2, rename your accounts so your brain instantly knows what they are. Just call them bills and spending. Step 3, take a few quick minutes to calculate your fixed monthly expenses. You know, the stuff that never changes. And finally, step 4, set up an automatic transfer. This way, every single payday, the exact amount needed for bills drops into the bills account, and the rest just flows right to your spending account. That's the whole shebang. It takes maybe 10 minutes total. No complicated spreadsheets, no meticulously tracking every single latte you buy. Just set it and forget it. And that brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. I want you to really sit with this question for a second. Will you continue relying on completely unreliable willpower, or will you finally build a system that actually works with your brain? Personal finance advice is always yelling at you to try harder and budget better, but the real truth? The absolute best financial systems are usually the simplest ones. By designing an environment that actually works alongside your natural human psychology, managing your money becomes dramatically easier. So seriously, take those 10 minutes today, set up that second account, and finally take back control of your spending. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, Focused Learners, and I will see you next time.